Flogcast may occasionally contain explicit content that makes it not safe for work or for minors. It also doesn't provide an excuse to use the same words on Bay 13. Normal big footy rules still apply.
Alright, so this is the Flogcast for the season launch. Fyfie joined by Dan. Ant.
How's it going?
Teach.
Hello.
Paddles.
Hey.
NetworkNerd.
Hey guys.
Pantskyle.
How you going?
And joining us for the first time on the Flogcast we have Penal.
Hi there.
Hi there.
So, yeah, I guess we'll begin with some of the NAB challenge. Most of the games are uneventful, not too much to read into or anything too out of the ordinary. Sydney were pretty shit against West Coast in that one game Buddy played, but...
Oh, come on, he had 6 possessions. Bloody good.
Oh yeah, he earned his money that night. But yeah, the most significant game of the NAB challenge was probably the last one with GWS smashing St Kilda. Not only on the scoreboard, but they had less free kicks too. So we'll begin with that.
Geez, we tipped it a few vlogcasts ago, but St Kilda, are they going to win the spoon? Because they just got absolutely pummeled by GW.
Not only are they going to win the spoon, they're going to take it into the room and bed the spoon and then take photos of bedding that spoon.
Oh, it was a horrible game for St Kilda. But GWS, I mean, they look like they're definitely going to rise at least a few rungs on the ladder, at least.
Yeah, and do you know the worst part about that game from St Kilda? Hayes and Maverick Weller both looking at suspensions from that game.
Well, Hayes has got 1 week, hasn't he?
I think they both got offered a week to go with Montagna, who I think's got a week hanging over from last year. So those 3 players won't play against Melbourne, which is one of the probably the few winnable games they've got, particularly early on.
Guaranteed 4 points for the D's.
You'd think so. It would be pretty bad if Melbourne didn't win that, I think.
Well,
How horrible would their membership be? Normally the first couple of rounds dictate those last couple of bandwagon supporters. I mean, people would be asking their money back, wouldn't it?
Yeah, that won't be enough to keep them away from the snow, that's for sure. But, yeah, and St Kilda just...
If you're a midget, you're not safe.
No.
Half the St Kilda supporters already claiming the number 1 draft pick, so what was it, Boulder and a couple others? They're already saying, number 1 pick's ours, so I guess they've already considered.
But they're hoping they don't win the spoon because of Essendon.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so they'll get the number 1 without another spoon. Not that another one would look too out of place anyway, in that, it's just 1 cup full of spoons. They probably need to win a second one soon to fit them all in. But
really, even with if it's just Brendan, Goddard, Lurch and Chapman, they'll still beat St Kilda.
Lurch. Wait, who's Lurch?
Oh, dopey looking.
Danaher.
Yeah.
Yeah, but St Kilda they probably still would struggle to beat Essendon with a VFL list.
Well, I mean, St Kilda's probably going to struggle to beat anyone, to be honest. I mean, we've all tipped them for the spoon, but who honestly...
They're pretty good at beating their girlfriends, though.
Who's the biggest side that they could beat on an even playing field on a neutral ground? Pick one. Can anyone pick one? I don't think they can.
Carlton.
Well, didn't St Kilda beat them last year, and at Etihad, St Kilda might knock them off.
On even playing field, that means Carlton wouldn't have their brown paper bags.
Indeed, that would result in one hell of a barbecue. But St Kilda, they were just absolutely putrid. I think it can't be undersold just how bad they were, considering apart from I think it was Sam Gilbert and Jack Stephen were the only 2 out of their best 22 missing.
But he's hurt himself, hasn't he?
Yeah, so he's not playing in round 1 either. But that was about, I think they probably had 20 of their best 22 out there. And
who's number 1 ruck for St Kilda these days?
Oh, geez, we can't even name it.
They don't even have a...
Didn't they they picked up
Billy.
Jolly?
They're not Billy Longer.
No, Jolly.
Oh yeah, they
Billy's
do.
the
They've got
coach.
Billy Longer. Paddles, you should know
Billy,
that.
that's right, Longer.
And speaking of new arrivals at St Kilda, they have finally found a replacement CEO. It's Matt Finnis, who, he'd be pretty used to cleaning up after St Kilda players due to his role at the AFLPA.
Well, it really cuts out the middleman now, doesn't it? I mean, you'd have to say, out of all the players he looked after, St Kilda players would have been pretty much number one.
Probably half his time would have been spent looking after the blokes at Seaford,
So is
Making
he
sure
an
they got their
expert?
coffees.
Is he an expert at a soup kitchen? Does he know how to use wooden spoons?
I don't think they use the spoons for eating down at Seaford.
Well, at least
That's
he
like
knows-
initiation ceremony with the rookies. Paddle them on the arse with the amount of spoons they have got.
Basically.
As long as he knows how to use the woodwork, he's going to be right at home.
But on a
I've never
semi-serious note, he spoke well during the whole Bombers saga, so I believe he's hanging on to finish off the player agreement. So it's going to be interesting him going from one side of the fence to the other side of the fence as CEO and wanting to get the best bang for the buck for the club. So
Well, he's clearly looking to move up in the AFL world. He's following the path that Brendan Gale did prior to him. He went to Richmond from there. Dimitri went straight to the AFL. They all seem to move on. The Players Association seems to be right at where they start. So Gale seemed to make the shift all right. Just interesting to see who replaces Finnis, I guess.
I've never even heard of the guy.
You have now.
I've only seen a few photos of him, but he looks like a pretty short bloke, so I'd be worried for his safety down at St Kilda. Might have to call in a few arson reports.
First order of business is to confiscate Clint Jones's lighter.
And Sam Gilbert's phone.
Yes.
Maybe you should just mass neutering of the players to ensure there'll be no off-skill scandals this year.
No mating.
Well, we put the boots in the St Kilda hard early.
So in
We've gone
summary,
in,
St
we've
Kilda
gone
is
in early and
shit.
hard, and we think they're going to win the spoon anyway.
So is Finnis going to St Kilda really a step up?
Not for him.
I would,
It's at best a step sideways.
Brendan Gale's one, he joined Richmond when they were at their lowest as well, didn't he?
Yeah, but
Yeah,
the players
but
weren't
Richmond-
making nudie selfies and setting dwarfs on fire.
The difference between the Richmond and the Saints is that Richmond have a strong past, maybe 50 years ago, but it's there. St Kilda, just a culture of failure, and I think this is career suicide for Finnis.
He'll be finished.
Well, Gale brought the doom cycle to Richmond, but he seems to be getting them out of it. But St Kilda seem to be absolutely trapped in the doom cycle. So, we're all going to be laughing at them for another probably 10, 15 years.
As long as the Pelicans are at that club, they're basically anchored to the bottom.
That's pretty much true.
It's really tragic, isn't it? It's tragic, but it's true.
Finnis has probably taken on a tougher task than Paul Roos, to be honest. He's got to not only affect St Kilda's on-field, where they're going to struggle with basically no young players coming through, but he's actually got to change the off-field culture.
Well, isn't as a CEO you're more interested in the off-field culture anyway? I mean, the football department's supposed to be there to look after the football, so
How long till he realises Pelican needs the flick, though?
it's how long before Pelican wants to line him up. He has a reputation of getting what he wants. So I don't know if he's got nude photos of Rewald or something. Oh, wait, what?
That's a pretty good note to move on from, I reckon. Yeah, Vlad has finally stepped down. Essendon supporters claiming a moral victory on that count.
Well, they would.
But thanks to them, he got paid $3.8 million last year because he stayed on an extra year to get a long-term bonus.
And really, he's staying on to the end of this year. So whatever happens to Essendon, Vlad's going to be sitting there. He's going to have the last laugh. He's going to have a nice payout.
Indeed he will. But what do we think of him overall?
Although he's extraordinarily fat, and he's absorbed more custard than any other CEO of the AFL, I would say that he's done a pretty good job, I've got to say.
What grade would you give him, out of 10 or letter grade? Or
8 out of 10.
Hey, 8 out of 10 sounds right.
what's everyone else reckon?
4 custard pies out of 5.
Aside from, there's been some issues on the rules committee, which we'll get to. It's hard to say whether they're his fault, but everything else has been, mostly good until, Essendon and James Hird put their foot in it, and the Crows did, and the Swans and the Cola, and all these things that have happened. It was pretty smooth sailing for him until about 2 years ago. And
Well,
then
just about everything is up. I mean, broadcasting views, membership, attendances at games, the broadcasting money. I mean, all under his tenure, all of that is up.
Can't argue with results.
Yeah, and the TV deal's fantastic in that every game's finally on, every game's live. All they got to do is get 7 broadcasts in HD.
I'm going to take a different spiel on this. I'm going to give him a C for compromised because, he's done a lot of good things, but he's done it the whole sake of, protecting the brand of AFL over football itself. So he's disenfranchised a lot of people with his cover-ups of Melbourne's tanking.
Oh, Ant, you're not being fair there.
Shut up, Teach.
No, you're not being fair because that couldn't be proven in a court of law, so he did the right thing. So,
Come on, everyone knows Melbourne tanked. Come on, Tej.
Anyway, so it's not just Melbourne tanking, it's the wet lettuce leaf he whacked left the Crows with. Trigg was able to have a bit of time off and come back again. And this whole Essendon saga, he hasn't come out of this very cleanly. He's been trying
You guys
to
have been just too nasty. He's a nice guy, even though he's a fat fuck.
That's not very nice. He can't help it if he is.
Well, I mean, I'm not being nasty to him. I'm just trying to defend him and against all these nasty boys.
As I was trying to say, he's done some good things, but he's done it on the back of compromising the game's integrity, I think, because he has really covered up a lot of shit in his time. I think the Ivanhoe 7 was under his tenure. Buddy having 6 weeks off because he was a little sick. You definitely know that was a strike, and they're just punishing him under the covers.
Well, no, you don't know that. Look, you're just making aspersions there, and so just back off.
Is this teacher or is this Suze?
Why are you sucking up Demetrio's ass?
Yeah.
Yes, teacher's starting to sound like strategy.
Has anyone actually seen Teach and Demetria in the same room at the same time?
Oh, don't be nasty.
Would they fit?
Don't be nasty. I'm just trying to stand up for what's right, and I'm just trying to be nice. And you guys are all being nasty. So
if anyone wants to get stuck into the flat, I'll be right up him.
He clearly sort of set out to make as much money for the AFL as possible, and in that respect, he succeeded.
Yeah, I could agree with that. Yeah. It's just he's left a sour taste in my mouth the way he's gone about it.
Personally, I'd give him a B+, because a lot of what he's done has worked out well. There's just the little bits along the way which maybe history won't remember as poorly as we perceive them now. Maybe they'll work out better, but there are some hangover things like equalisation, which we will also get to later.
Tried to move my club up to the Gold Coast.
Well, you should have fucking gone. If you had a fucking ounce of sense in your head.
Teach no longer being nice. He's given up.
Yeah, this is much better, Teach. Nice.
Well, I tried to be nice, but you guys were all hanging shit on me.
So, nice doesn't look good on you, mate.
Oh, well, whatever. So, you should have gone, Dan. That's all I can say. Because now we've got this fucking franchise up there wrapped in tangerine and pumped up with money. Would have been much better to have North up there and doing well. But
there's no roof. There's no roof there at Metricon.
No need a roof. It doesn't rain that fucking much up
Rained
there.
when North played there.
Yes, it does. When it rains there, it fucking pours.
North are all going to make you eat your fucking words.
Oh, yes, they're going to win the premiership.
Oh, yeah.
They are, yes.
Oh, Teach, you weren't serious when you said that. I nearly fell off my chair.
What the fuck was that?
What the hell was that?
That's a Melbourne theme song. You don't fucking recognise that?
No, because we don't hear it that often. I can't remember the last time I heard it in September.
Oh, I used to rag the shit out of my mates at work, like Carlton supporters, and they had their phone went off with the Carlton theme song, and I went, oh, that's a 2 o'clock song. That's a song that happens at 2 o'clock. And then my phone would go off and it had the Geelong theme song. It goes, mine's a 5 o'clock song. It's the song that goes off after the game. Yours goes off before the game, mine goes off after. And they had nothing because they were fucking shit.
That's pretty good.
That is pretty good.
They probably clicked the report button though, didn't they?
They would.
Left a nasty note in the suggestions box. That Teach guy's an arsehole. Get rid of him.
On Vlad, there is one obvious candidate to replace him, and that is Gilligan McLaughlin. Gilligan, isn't it?
Gillian. I don't fucking know.
Most famous for having the brother Romping Winds who runs over dogs and, edits his own Wikipedia page.
Does this mean Romping Wings can now run over dogs with impunity?
I think it does. I think the players will be gagged if their dogs go missing.
Only Suze can run over dogs with impunity.
Well, she doesn't drive.
Oh, it's true.
Romping Winds runs them over and she cooks and eats them. I think that'll probably be the deal.
Sue's about to say, what the fuck, I'm not Korean.
North Korean, I want Gillen to get the job so that Brian Cook doesn't get the job.
Maybe Brian Cook wants the job so he doesn't have to spend any more time at Shithole Stadium.
Yeah, and you can have that silver mohawk moron as a CEO.
Yeah, Darren Lyons. He can be president of
him,
Geelong. Yeah. He seems to know what he's doing. He managed to rig an election, didn't he?
Yeah, well, I got nothing, so fuck you.
I think it's just been expected that Gil would take over, so...
He knocked back the bum sniffer job, so you'd think getting the top job even in a second-rate sport like rugby league would be better than Vlad's coffee bitch. So he must have had a little word in his ear that he was going to be number one in the next couple
He
of
was
years.
the heir apparent.
He was heir apparent. That's much better.
What about Vlad? Where to next for him?
McDonald's.
Well, I
Going
think
to the Crown, isn't he? To go on the board.
I heard that he was looking into the tennis
Australia,
federation.
yeah.
I think that job's gone, hasn't it? That was like yonks ago. Surely they'd have filled it by now.
Yeah, that rumor was around like when the Essendon thing broke.
I mean, he is a good talker. I mean, he was able to organise new stadiums almost in every state except for West Australia.
See, I think with his media experience, he might run for Senate with the Palmer United Party, like Des Headland is doing over here.
Oh, jeez.
Good point. He might have a crack at that.
I think he'd more likely to get in the Liberal Party, wouldn't he, than
You'd be able to run the Palm United Party just about.
than the Fat Cat Party.
He'd eat the Palmer United Party.
Yeah.
Him and Palmer would have to face off. There can only be one.
That's like the immovable object.
The winner gets to sleep with Gino Reinhardt.
Thanks, Drew.
So moving on to, mentioned the Rules Committee before as part of Vlad's tenure, and they've had a few changes with Geishan stepping down because he's no longer the umpire's boss, and KB as well. Gollum is gone, and a lot of people quite happy about that, but they've been replaced by Wayne Campbell and John Worsfold.
Well, the only thing I can think of there is Ducking is now going to be back in for.
Joel Selwood's had a miracle recovery since that announcement too, I think.
Is Ducking back in vogue now?
Quack.
Oh,
Anyway.
yes. Da-da-da, da-da-da. Joel Selwood is back. You all get fucked.
I'm going to find it interesting though, because Worsfold was traditionally a hard-hitting player, and on the flip side you had Wayne Softcop Campbell. I mean, if Worsfold wasn't involved, I was going to say contested footy's out. Everyone's going to be hanging out the sides of chip scabs, but now Worsfold's in the middle. There might be a nice balance that'll come out of this.
But with more ducking.
I'm just glad they picked Wayne Campbell as the token Richmond player and not Joel Bowden, or else we're going to start seeing 20 points awarded for rushing behinds.
I think he's on there as well, isn't he?
No, he's on a game analysis committee, whatever the
I was
fuck
going
that
to say
means.
he'd be on some statistical thing where he's getting super coach points for chipping it over to his brother in the half-back line.
How the hell did he win 2 best and fairest at Richmond?
He got 2 All-Australian gears too.
Richmond.
Well, yeah, but I mean,
I'm going to say it, he wasn't a bad footballer.
he's a stat merchant, Fyfie.
He racked up stats, but he was still a good footballer. He played key position for a while there too.
I'm going to back Fyfie up here. He was a good footballer.
Half-back kicker to the side.
He played centre-half back a few times and beat Jonathan Brown. That was some of his better games though.
When he was actually accountable.
Yeah, basically, and he still racked up. Not as many, probably, but...
He is better than Delidio.
I agree, he was better than Delidio.
Well, I'm not touching that one. We don't have time to shit fight. Anyway, we'll move on. Equalisation was on the table last week. Kohler's gone. Hooray.
Huzzah.
We were pretty happy with that, but Ant, you had some thoughts on equalisation.
It's back to what I was saying about Vlad before in the compromised game. While we have a draw that's compromised and we have teams that have to play constantly on a Sunday afternoon where no one wants to give a fuck about, no one wants to go to, and then you have other teams in prime time, it's always going to be compromised. You say that the poorer teams need to make more money. Well, it's pretty hard to get sponsors when you're playing Sunday afternoon. Until they have a fairer fixture, it's always going to be a compromised system. So
there is a fair bit to that, but the thing about it is that
well, the only thing to it is money.
Yeah.
So,
the issue with the compromise thing is that some clubs just happen to have significantly greater supporter bases, which is how does that get reconciled with the equal exposure? It's whether that's a sustainable model with everything equal. I don't know.
Yeah, part of the equalisation is what they're pushing for is similar to the NFL, where all the gate takings in the NFL is shared between the clubs.
My understanding is that's not the case.
Oh,
In the
well, I thought it was.
NFL, it's television is distributed and all central things, but gate takings and stuff are actually, that's the one thing the owners get different is gate takings.
Well, I will bow to Mr. Participation Award on this one.
Oh shit, I got nothing on that.
Well, the only way out of it is one of two things, is that it becomes completely random draw, or they expand the amount of games and everyone plays everyone else twice. And I can't see that happening.
Oh, I'd hate that.
Unless they ran a draw over 2 years and played everyone twice over an extended period.
Well, if they could make it completely random.
A 36-game season's just not possible.
No, it's not. It's not.
St Kilda would love the 36-game season because there'd be no off-season to fuck up.
They still fuck up during the season, though.
They will find a way.
A long season like that would be ridiculous just because the tanking or the uncompetitive games would start pretty early in that season.
I liked someone put up an idea that as soon as it became mathematically impossible for a team to make the finals, they said, righto, you have the first draft pick. And so they may have another 5 or 6 games to go that they have nothing to lose but to try and win. And they can just play their guts out and just try and get somewhere. That seemed like a reasonable idea, but it needs a bit of working. But yeah, I thought that's better than the current situation.
Jeez, you'd be hoping your team was playing their guts out anyway.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing about that one is that I guess it doesn't take into account the uneven fixture in that you may not actually play everyone before that. You may be left some soft teams. You may get the pick by...
That even doesn't solve the issue of like the games being uninteresting.
Yeah, or the off-field gap in scheduling as well, which is the main issue behind equalisation is that the fact that certain teams, North and the Bulldogs being two, played the Sunday afternoon games, as Ant said, whereas the bigger clubs get the bigger games and more lucrative time slots, which creates a sponsorship gap and attendance gap, and the shit stadium deals don't help either. Mind you, North got a lot of Friday night games this year, probably because they want to see them choke. They were good TV last year.
Good for big footy.
Not quite the servers, though. But yeah, there is an illusion of equalisation. They are trying to, or I guess, stop letting Collingwood increase the gap. They're not closing it as much as they're stopping teams increasing it. So that's the interesting thing. But it has resulted in a few things. The loss of the Cola, I think everyone can agree with, because they're not going to give it to Freo and West Coast, and they're not going to take money away from Adelaide, Port and Geelong. Then it's not really relative to where...
And Hawthorn, because they're in Tasmania.
Yeah.
That's like the cheapest place to live.
So I'm not going to take it away from those clubs or give it to the Perth clubs, and it's not really properly weighted anyway. But one thing that was disappointing from a sentimental perspective is that the veterans list is on the outs too, which Boomer Harvey, we all know he wants that record, or the 400 games, maybe even catching Michael Tuck.
What about Grandpa Fletcher?
Yeah.
Well, Boomer Harvey does have a different record, though.
Fattest misses?
Yep.
Paddles, that's not very nice.
Oh, she's not that bad. I'd give her a run.
I love how every time this comes up, Teach goes, "What are you fuckwits on about?" Oh. You say that every time.
He's like, yeah, fuck, I just roll her in flour and find the fucking wet spot.
Oh,
Jeez. And anything on the veterans list?
I quite like the veterans list.
So do I.
Yeah, I like it too. I think it allows players that might get squeezed out to play another couple of years.
No,
At
is it
the
only
club
for
they
the
want
players who've been loyal to the club? I mean,
Yeah.
if you're
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's rewarding something that's a dying, thing in the game of loyalty. A bit like the father and son.
Yeah, it's exactly that. It's a sentimental rule, and it's
Yeah.
kind of a good one. But Sydney must have complained because, they recruit recycled players.
Well, I don't get what the big deal is because the same rules for everyone. So
Yeah.
why can't it just stay?
It's like the South Australians and West Australians sooking over the father and son rule. That how come we can't get the 100 games for, like the VFL?
We want Bryce Gibbs. I bet they don't anymore.
Oh, wait fucking 20 years and have some kids. You know what? I'm sure Tony McGuinness has fathered half of bloody South Australia by now, hasn't he?
Yeah.
I know.
Well, Fremantle could have drafted Bootsma.
And look, West Coast have been around for more than 20 years, so stop fucking moaning, will you?
I mean, you're basically all the Bulldogs father and sons that those guys were playing in the 80s. I mean, it's
I know.
not that hard. I don't know.
Well, maybe that's the key to turning St Kilda around. There's probably a shitload of father-sons lying around for them.
Yeah, but are they legitimate?
Yeah, that's the thing.
Do they need to be?
They'll probably deny parentage because they haven't been paying their parental allowance on.
I can almost imagine an UGAC video based on Game of Thrones, with the illegitimate sons of St Kilda.
I don't think El Santo will have a father-son because his sperm would be too big to come out of his...
Oh, that's not nice.
No.
There is such thing as artificial insemination there, Pads. I mean, come on, we have technology now. We can build it.
Before we move on, this cola's been scrapped, and we have the top 5 reasons why the cola has been scrapped. Number 5, Teach.
Well, it's about getting the amounts of hits that Ugat gets on his YouTube videos reduced.
Number 4, and
Economic vandalism against Colossus, otherwise known as Colossus, and down prices are down at Coles.
number 3, NetworkNerd.
The number 3 reason why the Coles app was to reduce the tears from the butthurt Hawthorn supporters.
Number 2, paddles.
Impending lawsuit from Coca-Cola.
Yeah, and basically Pepsi didn't make a good acronym.
Number 1, Dan.
Number 1, they couldn't afford to pay it after Vlad's 3.8 million payout.
And another thing that happened was the Essendon players got named, which, well, we already knew about Jab. And, well, it was a pretty safe bet that Hurley was one of them too, though the AOD didn't seem to work much. But yeah, what are our thoughts on that?
Didn't Jab come out and have a real fucking cry about it? Yeah, don't put us out in the media. Oh, that was hilarious.
Well, it was Captain Snoz who led the charge there, didn't he? He talked on his behalf.
Captain Snoz.
Yes, you're right.
Captain Snoz.
You know, the biggest nose in football.
Oh, Pav, yes.
Oh, yeah, sorry.
They came out and had a massive moan in the media. Oh, you affect our family. You affect my friends. You affect my teammates. They were the ones who did it.
I feel a bit for the younger players. I mean, footballers aren't very smart, like it was touched on earlier. It's very much a pack mentality. They do what they're told. They sleep when they get told. They eat when they're told to eat. So I feel a bit for the younger guys, but it is up to each player to check with Asada, what is this shit that's putting into me, and is it safe?
So, Dan, are you actually showing some sympathy for Essendon drug players, are you?
No, just to sum up what Ant said, really. I mean, I don't think the players are at fault. I mean, they just do as they're told, and they trust the people that are put in place to act accordingly. I mean,
I think
I
they
don't...
are at fault, though, because the rules are you're responsible for what you put in your body. I just feel sorry for them because they're stupid footballers.
Yeah, and they put their trust in people.
I mean, it's not
who
like they
mislead
went
them.
out of their way to take banned substances, you know. And there's a big difference between what they did and what, say, Lance
West
Armstrong
Coast did in the 90s.
Yeah, all that.
What? You fucker.
Hadn't heard from Pants in a while. I was wondering if that would.
Yeah, he's hang on, West Coke, what?
You bastard.
It's really
They're flying
worrying though
high.
that like the players seem to be more concerned about the emotional impact of the media than like they should be worrying about the physical impact of what's gone into their bodies, like these unapproved drugs.
I think they will if they get banned. There'll be lawsuits flying all over the place. Maybe that's why Finnis got out.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see the two players who left Essendon, if they are the ones who lead the lawsuit charge, because in Cramery and Gumbleton, because there's no love lost there by moving on.
Yeah.
Well, who thinks
And
infractions will placed on the players?
I reckon we'll see some.
Yeah, so I reckon
Yeah.
minimum.
And that's why the naming kind of seems irrelevant to me, because I think we would have seen the infractions anyway. It's just another story along a long line of fucking Essendon stories that we keep hearing. And it's kind of getting sick about talking about Essendon until the day comes, you know.
Who's the president there? Little, is it?
Yeah.
That guy really needs to just shut the fuck up sometimes. He is so adamant that they've done nothing wrong, and he's just going to look like a complete fucking moron if they get infractions. He's starting to clutch at straws. He sounds really desperate whenever he speaks.
Well, I mean, the thing is that Asada are being very, very careful about how they apply penalties, because it's as much about their future as it is about Essendon's. So something's going to happen, and Pantskyle is right. I mean, Little, he's a fuckwit. He does needs to shut the fuck up, but there's going to be more to come out of it.
Yeah, he's starting to take its toll on everyone.
Yeah, can't be allowed to ruin another season.
Yeah.
You get it?
Yeah.
Toll. You won't work toll.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think we can probably all agree on that. No one wants to see this ruin another
No,
season. It was shit enough for 1, 2, or 1.5 is just ridiculous.
It's tolerable during the off season when there's no footy being played, but when the season starts, I mean, nah.
And it also means we can shut up those boring dead shits in the HTB board.
Some of them are going to have nothing left after that.
Both sides, yeah.
That's going to be one big celebrationary lounge if they do get infractions, though.
Oh yeah, if infraction notices come, Bosk will go all Michael Hutchins on it.
What? He's going to hang himself while he's having a...
Yes,
and-
he's gonna be enjoying it so much he'll do that, and that's how it'll
He'll
end
probably
up.
send out a filthy
He will
email
do.
to the Essendon supporters like he did with the Geelong supporters.
While he's having an asphyxie wank.
If it hits and Essendon players go down, the first thing you're going to do is hit the Essendon board and just sit there
Like.
and be a lurking liker.
Anyway, moving on to, well, Murray Newman's finally going to jail.
He is.
Yeah, he is. He's got 12 months minimum, I guess.
And 6 months minimum.
Oh, sorry, 6 months. And
Yep.
the West Coast are actually standing by him, which I find very surprising.
They're going to send
West
him a bar of
Coast.
soap.
But doesn't he play
It's
for
called a
Collingwood?
care
No,
package.
that's Marley Williams, but I think West Coast are standing by him because they're following Eddie Maguire's lead of standing by the convicted man.
Interesting.
It's a bit strange.
So now the fucking West Coast and Carlton that are just copying Collingwood and everything.
Oh, look, I mean, we don't really lose anything
it-
from
does-
standing by him, though.
Collingwood did give
Well, other than the
Cracker
fact he
guy-
must have dirt on a couple of West Coast players or something like that.
Oh, there's nothing wrong with standing by a kid. He did something stupid, and I think crack is the classic case of that. You can go to prison and still forge
Have a
yourself an AFL career. Yeah, have a crack. So, you know, by the time he comes out, which could be 6 months, it's in time for finals.
Yeah, like, I guess he is going to be out for less time than some of the Essendon players.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so, you know.
So is it going to change him? Is he going to be,
He might
harder
get
at a
ripped.
cracking in player, or is he going to be, loose man in defence?
Well, he'll know. I'll tell you what, he'll know how to bring the shiv onto the field.
He'll always be at the bottom of a pack.
Yeah, he'll be able to shiv a couple of players in the back line and then just walk away going, whoa, I didn't do anything. And
So it
just
gives a whole new meaning to shanking it, doesn't it?
yeah, leave a couple of bloody corpses in the back line and go, I didn't do it.
I just hope he doesn't piss off Teffy.
You
So
probably tell
that-
Teffy
so
Hansen's
what-
not the greatest centre half forward in the league. That'll be enough. There'd be a prison riot.
I guess that means that Marley Williams is going to go to jail as well. And so what's Collingwood going to do about that?
But, well, he won't need to change his uniform.
No, he won't. He could just go in with his Collingwood jumper.
Just standard rite of practice for him then.
He'd be closer to the Collingwood supporters than any other player there.
Next captain.
I feel like Family Day. You can just sign autographs.
There might be a membership. Tell you what, they might be able to really crack into that prison base for memberships as well, because we know they'll take memberships from anyone. Imagine getting the prison special. You get to attend no games, but all it costs you is $50.
Bar of
They'll
soap that
send
says
you-
Collingwood on it.
I was going to say, gift back with a Collingwood coloured lube or something like that.
And, well, one more thing that has been in the news is the Dale Garlett saga at Hawthorn.
Really, I don't know what to think here. I mean,
I
where
need
there's
a
smoke,
break.
where there's smoke, there's fire. He has forms. Whether or not this is him showing some maturity, saying he can't cope, or whether this is just another medical records at Ivanhoe cover up by the good people at Hawthorn.
It sounds like he's being a complete fucking baby, that he can't live up to the expectations of AFL life. What the fuck's wrong with him? I mean, he's getting paid a shitload. Oh, I mean, you must be really pissed off, Network, that this has happened.
Oh, look, how many chances can you give a guy? He stuffed up his...
3 strikes.
Said 4.
Well, he didn't
Same
get drafted.
joke.
He didn't go to the rookie draft. And, Hawthorn's giving him a chance. Why not take it? And, look, I think it's the right approach by the club. I mean, look, if he wants to go back to WA for a month or two, let him go. But the kid's obviously got talent. I mean, especially the reigning premiers wouldn't put up with that just from anybody. He's got to have talent. Hawthorn definitely see him as part of the club, 3-4 years down the track to be starting 22 players. So, look,
But he's
Well,
got
it's
to-
interesting
he's-
point. It's interesting point you raised there, though. Network is no one denies he has talent, but where does the talent balance out the culture? Is it worth having a disruptive influence like a Garlett or a Buddy Franklin in what's supposedly the family club culture of Hawthorn?
Well, I don't reckon that they're going to put up with any shit. So if he doesn't pull his weight, they'll get rid of him.
If he's wanting to go home after only, I think it's 3 to 4 months in Melbourne, and he's already saying he wants to go home where they probably won't keep as much of an eye on him, that's concerning.
He would have
But I
fitted
guess
in much
to be
better at St Kilda.
Yeah, he would have been able to do whatever he liked and probably just play football.
To be fair to Network, I mean, Buddy Franklin did have a pretty poor record. He was overlooked several times, and basically I think Hawthorn on the record of saying they would have picked Hamberling if he was available.
yeah, that's
Buddy
true.
was a bit-
That's true.
Buddy was a bit of a punt. He was the reckless kid, so they have a record of turning, people around. So
Yeah, well, when Buddy came to Melbourne, he was chaperoned. Whenever he went out, there was always one or two senior Hawks players going out with him just to make sure that he got home safely, didn't do anything stupid. So
I thought there
why
was a
don't you do
Sharrow
work
joke
in
there.
top?
Well, according to the
chaperone, not Sharrod.
according to the last video that I saw Buddy in, he's having good fun on boats and partying.
One other thing before moving on is that Paul Roos, as much as everyone was hoping to get him out of the media, he'll be returning to AFL 360, so we will get to hear about Watsy and Jonesy.
Oh no.
And he's not going anywhere, so we will be hearing about those, and we'll.
Instep Marksy.
Oh, that's just a pain in the ass, that is. That's one night that, I can be thankful because I just won't be watching the TV that night and I can get some dishes done.
I'm looking forward to, out of this, I'm not looking forward to it, but I'm looking forward to seeing if he's still overly complimentary and fawns over the Swans players, and whether that actually becomes a controversy where Roos is talking up the Swans players like they're his kids again whilst he's coaching another club. I reckon that could be interesting if it goes that way.
I mean, you look at Terry Wallace, he had form of basically saying he was at Richmond fucking them up, and all he could talk about in the media was how he built the Bulldogs list, and because the Bulldogs are up and all those players all came in under him, and it's all me, 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 me. Roos is similarly an egocentric type, so
Yes,
I don't
yes.
I don't see him stopping that. He will go on and go on as he always had.
Yep, I agree. I think that we're going to find that. And, look, at least it gives us a fair bit of material for the Flogcast because we can rip the piss out of him every time that he does it. But, it's going to be painful watching it, though.
Oh, yeah.
Someone has to take a bullet every week. Someone has to put their hand up and watch it. And...
Won't be me.
Trust, I don't want to. Oh, Dan's already opted out too. So, Fyfie or Ant or Paddles, it's up to you guys or Network.
I barely watch TV, mate, so...
Oh, well,
That has to be you.
I'm not doing it. I'm not watching that fucking idiot. No.
I don't have Foxtel.
Oh, we're all right. I'll fucking watch it then. weak shits.
Let's move on real quick to what's been happening on the Bay, which in last week I think we have our very first back-to-back thread of the week.
Well, yeah, I mean, basically, not long after we cut and posted 2 weeks ago's Flogcast, the UGAC thread took a certain turn when Triple M posted a link to the thread, said, how good is this? Shame about the music. Should have had Akadaka. But yeah.
How good was it?
I have to say, I'll admit to a Fyfie, between me and you, I think we were half the people on that comments.
Yes.
Certainly in the first 20, I think we accounted for probably 80% of those.
I think I was Suze, I did a Bosk, I did I can't remember.
When I first got on there, I actually got sucked in. I thought, everyone from the Bay's on here. And then 5 minutes later, I read it. I thought, nah, this is just a handful of people. And I suspected you both.
Basically, I did the first Sue's one, and then I posted in the thread. Maybe we should start commenting on the thread. So I'm thinking then you come back and see it's just some one bust with his one IP address, just posting all these different characters. My favourites were Plugger and Strategy, I think.
Plugger was the best one.
That was hilarious. Yeah.
I mean, one of the Hawks posters did Strategy just to a T.
I reckon it's Juice Titheridge.
Yeah, he did it. Yeah, that's it.
So there were some great things in there. Like, I'm looking through them. Hard to beat. Cancels account. Dim it. Post reported. Matt Vines. I like Wanna's post. James 66. I also like Wanna's post.
Yeah.
One of my absolute favourites was Ben Carbonaro. That's not really Buddy. It's another video by Ugak where he puts a footballer's hands on the existing footage.
That's why I needed the thanks, Ben. Yeah.
But they shut it down. They shut it down because they knew that we were just using it as a troll for them.
Well, I don't think it was that. It was the fact that I don't think their webpage is used to that many hits. They were basically getting dropouts. As I said in the thread, we'll get more dropouts than the old server farm after a North choke. What I liked about it is normally a Ugak thread is one decent post and everyone else going, oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that's basically it. It's like the old Ugak thread, you see one post and that's basically the thread. You don't need to see anything else again. This one delivered over so many pages, from the Triple M comment section to Ricky Nixon on Twitter.
What about the old Ricky Nixon meltdown on Twitter?
Oh, didn't he crack the shits?
Yeah, and Fyfie took to him with the blade.
I think fellow Flogcaster and all-round Melbourne supporter, You Don't Know Jack, had a crack at him as well on Twitter, and Nicky had a crack back about his team, and Jack had to say, you barrack for St Kilda. Oh, you played for him?
I think someone tweeted that Ricky saying that about a club, like, not much chance getting into sports management if he's saying Melbourne's a shit club. But no, do we think Ricky was Flog of the Week? He's not a poster, though he may be.
Oh, yeah.
After this. But
Yeah, give him flog of the week.
Absolutely. He's flog of the century.
oh yeah,
Although, as Cat Wrangler said, you've got to be jealous of his ability to capture women.
probably locking him in a dungeon Bombers style.
Oh, he's a fucking idiot. I mean, not only that, he belts them and he gives them drugs, and he still keeps getting them. But oh yeah, what a disgusting human being he is.
Definitely flog of the week.
Also, whilst we're on stuff from the Bay, Ant's come up with a new initiative, the participation badge.
Yeah, so basically I was looking at your profile, Fyfie, and saw you got a participation award for doing some NFL nonsense.
Predictions competition, yeah, I won that.
Hang on, so that's not an online pool badge.
What the fuck? I'm not Tiger Boys.
I don't know about the board, that
Well, you do
everyone's a winner type board that you're posting on, that regardless of the fact you won or lose, everyone got the same badge.
Yeah, but I won.
It doesn't matter. You participated. You did your best. Good for you.
Yeah, well,
But that just gave me a thought. Well, it's kind of like they're poles apart to Bay 13. Bay 13 is about survival of fittest. It is social Darwinism in the footy world at its best. So I'm thinking we need a participation award for Bay 13 for the real tryhards who think they're funny, but they're just not.
there's a lot of them.
They're good for trying, but you just don't cut it round there,
Yeah.
Kind of like Bombers 2003 in a lot of ways.
Oh, no, I think Bombers is his own special case. He's so bad, he's good.
Yeah, I think so.
But I'm talking about the mediocrity shit. Like, I have to say, Paul Warner, he just fits it to a T. He just tries too hard.
He does. Yeah.
So basically, this is a message out to Bay 13 that we need to decide on what the badge is going to look like and what its tagline is going to be. Something nice, and really patronising. It needs to come down as someone is ashamed to wear that badge.
Yes.
And also, it needs to be also subtle enough, the message, that when they're on the NFL online pool board, they can go, oh, well done. You tried. Good for you. You're just like Fyfie.
Last week's poll, are trains comfortable? 23.5% said yes. 11.8% said no.
They were fucking V-line trams.
And Tyler said, fuck off, you can't. I was sitting there and can't sit.
17.6% said they're not comfortable if you're sleeping in the aisle. And 47.1% said Jack Watts says they're more comfortable in contact training drills. So, yeah, moving on to the games this week. The first one, Collingwood Fremantle. Is that a pretty dull season opener?
Well, it's really missing the traditional Carlton-Richmond shit fight game. So we're going to miss out on the awesome Bay 13 thread where Richmond and Carlton supporters both lose their shit. And whoever loses, Big Footy wins.
I think this is going to actually be a pretty good game.
But it's Fremantle.
Yeah, Ross Lyon's involved, so
and it's at
probably
Etihad.
going to be shit.
Fremantle at Etihad.
I'm going for Fremantle. I think Fremantle are going to win that.
I think Freo will win it too, but I don't think I want to watch it either.
Yeah, I'm not interested.
Freo will win 40-35.
Yeah, something like that. I'd seriously doubt a team cracks 80 points unless Collingwood somehow play out of their skin.
Yeah, but still Collingwood loses at the MCG, so you've got to piss your pants at that.
Since when has MCG Etihad?
Oh,
So this will be the first of 3 away games for Collingwood this year.
yeah, you're right.
Eddie won't be happy, yeah.
He'll be crying about it. Anything else on Collingwood Fremantle?
It'll be a game of football.
Is there any reason why this season's starting early and it's also going over 2 weeks? Is it just to milk it for what it's worth?
I think the main reason, though, this was a long time ago, but I think the main reason is because they don't have the MCG, but they wanted to start at least 1 week earlier, and because they only have Etihad in Victoria and Shithole Stadium, no one wants to play at Shithole Stadium except Geelong, and so they have to space the Etihad games out over 2 weeks so they get enough there.
What's going on at the MCG?
It's booked for a Sheffield Shield final, but Victoria's on the bottom of the ladder.
No one will go to.
Yeah.
Should bring back Waverley.
At the Noble Park cricket ground.
Hopefully by 2016 that'll be the case after the Cricket World Cup's done next year, but that's the way it is for the time being.
They want to compete with the NRL early launch, so they're just going to bring it further and further forward. And I think
that makes sense why they got GWS and Sydney playing early.
Yeah, which is as good a note as any to move on to that game.
Can we
Stadium?
move straight past it?
No, because we do need to take note that game is played at Spotless Stadium, That is the new sponsor's name, Spotless Stadium, which I think signifies the fact that there'll be no one there and the ground will be spotless. The stands will be empty, and yeah, the irony there is not lost on me.
It's a beautiful little stadium as well.
Yeah,
It's a shame.
they might crack 20,000, maybe. All Swans watching Buddy.
We'll crack 20,000.
No, I don't
Bruce
see that.
Springsteen's playing across the road, is he?
They'll be lucky to get 10.
15.
I think that they're going to do what they've done previously and give away a whole heap of free tickets to artificially pump up the numbers.
It'll
I'll be
break
the,
20,000.
They'll play the drug dealers in the streets outside to bug people to come inside for free. And yeah, so you'll see that the crowds will swell after quarter time, after the druggos get their battens out and smack people into the ground.
Free falafel inside the stadium.
Come to the footy, bro. I'll fucking smash you.
You all know Trent from Punchy?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, sick ass, mate. Come to the fucking footy. Come and see the DWS, mate. Fucking down at Punchy. Come on.
Anyway, moving on to the next one, which is the first game at Metricon Stadium between Gold Coast and Richmond. So, yeah. We know it didn't go very well in Cairns.
Dun, 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 dun.
So Gold Coast have a good record against Richmond, and I could see that continuing.
Yeah, Gold
They
Coast
were hard
win.
to beat at home last year.
I think we win this one. I genuinely do. I think.
Is Ablett playing?
Oh, I imagine he is.
He's got a calf issue, hasn't he?
Okay. And also on Gold Coast news, David Swallow re-signed for 3 years, so sorry to...
What?
Oh,
What?
I thought he was going to North.
Yeah.
I thought he was coming to North.
he's North
Dan,
fan.
But come on,
Oh.
I've been reading that North thread since 2011, and
They were
this
gonna
year
give him
was
for a
the year
third
he was
rounder.
going.
I was
He
told
was
it was a
kangaroos
short
bound.
thing.
Don't cry, Dan.
What
Don't
happened?
cry.
So Dan, what if they got it round the wrong way? They heard the inside information that a Swallow was going to swap teams between
Oh,
North and the Suns, but they got the wrong one.
big footy would break for a week.
David and Andrew playing for the Gold Coast Suns.
Oh,
They could
God.
be.
Oh, look, they've already started on the North board. Oh, no, he's going to come as a free agent now.
Look, you can't fault their optimism.
You want to talk about optimism over in the West Coast? Fuck me.
Yeah, well, we're playing good football.
West Coast pretty much the Brisbane of last year's NAB Cup. I wouldn't take anything out of it.
Oh, bollocks. You take plenty out of it.
All I know is last year, basically, Brisbane were the best team of the NAB, didn't lose a game, won the thing, and then they came up against the Bulldogs in round one. This year, it's West Coast turn.
Yeah, but I think you'll find if we had Woosher in charge still, then, you know, you could say that. But with the new game plan, if anyone that watched the West Coast games, especially in the second half against Sydney and what we did the free out, there's a new game plan in place and it works.
What is this game plan?
Don't be shit.
Pants, you're full of shit, mate. You're going to be...
No,
You're gonna be-
I think we'll
You're
play
going to be
finals this
fucking
year.
hopeless again this year.
No way.
Just get
No,
used
we'll
to
Your
play
midfield's
finals.
still too
Get
slow.
used to it. You're going to be fucking
Silky
hopeless.
slow.
Bullshit. We have Pritis. For fuck's sake.
I think
Oh,
Nick Nat's going to be playing
We'll
this. isn't he?
smash the Dogs next week, I'll tell you.
Oh,
Play that shit to the bank.
Put a bet on it.
you're cracking a massive fat over nothing, mate. So just fucking back off.
We'll see. We'll see where we are at the end of the year.
How much is Nick Nat worth, like, contract-wise?
Million.
A year.
Ooh.
Yeah, million a year. It's
He's
market.
a palm tree that doesn't bear any fruit.
Not yet. Give him time.
Moving on to probably the most interesting of the first week of round one is Carlton Port Adelaide, which I guess is as close as we're going to get to the game Ant mentioned, with both sides going at it, because both sides, their supporters seem to think top eight's the go. One of them's going to be
talk
pretty
about it.
disappointed, I think.
Carlton are always deluded, though, at the start of the year.
I know,
so-
but isn't it fun?
You want to talk about deluded West Coast supporters? Come on, Carlton top four. Fucking hell.
Port Adelaide are coming, and they will axe Carlton. They will put a blade into their head. But I tell you what, just don't be around the ground any time after that game, because the Carlton supporters will be filthy, spitting, and looking for a fight.
Don't be a lurking liker on their board.
Yeah, I'm gonna predict Port by 100 points and 100 bans handed out on the Carlton board.
Port are coming. They are a possibility for top four if everything goes right.
Oh,
If everything goes right for them. But, you know...
so you
there's
got
a lot-
North finishing the top, winning the premiership, and you got Port finishing in the 4.
Oh, yeah?
Fuck yeah! And you,
Yeah,
you
I
also
mean-
said a Freo North grand final. That's going to be the lowest drawing final series. in history.
Well, we can all just walk up and get a ticket for $10 if that happens.
Yeah.
To be
So,
fair to Teach, though, like, everyone's talking about how it's going to be, Hawthorn, Freo, Sydney, three-horse race. It's very rare that, 3-4 teams from the same year stay up there. So I think he's got a point. One of North or Port or...
He's predicting Geelong disappear from the top 3, though.
Yeah, Hawthorn, Swans, Freo,
finish
West
about-
Coast.
We'll finish about 12th.
No.
Well, I mean, I've been following this football side for 40 years, so I know what I'm talking about.
So that's just about everything. This was the Flogcast for the season launch. Fyfie joined by Ant,
See you later, boys.
Dan,
Yeah.
NetworkNerd,
Go Hawks.
Paddles,
Bye.
Teach,
Good night.
Pantskyle,
Thanks for having me on.
and also on his first episode, Penal.
See you guys.
Thanks for listening, and we'll see you next week. Before we go, though, Teach has a few words to say on behalf of the Flogcast.
The Flogcast recognises the passing of Dean Bailey, and we all piss and take the fun out of football and everything, but it's a real shame that this guy's passed away, and it was so quick and terrible, and we all think about his family and his boys, so we all pass our condolences on.
Yep.